Good evening and welcome to another Fortean Words. And Marco Coletti Spaghetti says, I'm gonna debunk. So he's gonna do some debunking from the chat.
Record, fuck Android for making like, oh, what's that? You want to transfer files via USB? No. Do you want to use Google Drive? Oh, it'll work the first 2 times and then it will disable the download option. What's that? You want to use a FTP transfer? Ah, fuck off.
Many have tried to debunk, but none have succeeded, so...
Yeah.
Good luck, Coletti.
Good luck. You're gonna need it. Because we've all seen the family Ness.
I didn't like it.
We've all seen the bog mess monster.
The bog
in the morning.
I've seen the bog mess monster. I've seen.
What, you mean?
I've seen. I bought a vampire motorcycle where Michael Elphick, as a turd, jumps into Neil Morris's mouth.
I remember that.
You seen that one, Ian? I bought my vampire motorcycle.
I haven't, no. It sounds a bit like Boone, though, because Neil Morrissey and
It's got I think they did that film on the back of Boone. I think it was like was it like early 90s? Was it, Dom? Like 92?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it was a bit shit, though, with Boone, wasn't it, if I remember rightly?
Well, the soundtrack was good, wasn't it?
You like that?
Yeah.
The Blood Vessel was in an episode as well.
So was John Gaunt.
Was John Peel in it? No, never mind.
John Pedo. Anyway.
Yes.
Citation
Alphabet
needed.
Cat knows it. Hi ho, Silver.
Yeah.
The Lone Ranger. You remember that? The theme tune was the best part. You just watch that and then turn it off.
And then Morrissey went on to be in Men Behaving Badly, wasn't it?
Yeah, with Harry
Enfield.
Enfield. Do you remember the first series with Harry Enfield?
Yeah,
Not many
didn't
remember
work,
that,
did
do
it?
they?
It was on ITV as well. BBC bought it.
Yeah.
Put Morrissey in instead of Enfield, and it became a hit.
No, they didn't. It was Martin Clunes the original then, was he?
Mark Lamar wasn't in it.
Martin Clunes, was he the original flatmate? Yes.
Oh, yeah, he was, yeah.
I thought it was Neil Morrison and Harry Enfield, and then Marty.
No. Neil Morrissey was the addition.
Oh, okay, all right.
Clunes has always been in it. I don't think the two women.
Jesus, God damn it!
I think Hobbit's going to cry in a minute.
I hate Android. Fuck Android.
I think it's a good film.
You think that's bad? You think that's bad? Just imagine if it was an iPhone, Hobbit.
Oh, smartphones are such dog shit. I hate it. Done with the bastards.
An old Nokia, then. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, get a Nokia 5110, Hobbit.
With Snake on it.
Well, yeah. The thing is, I'm kind of in a bind though because like Google Maps is a pretty good sat nav.
Yes. Anyway,
Hobbit,
we
maybe
kick
you
on
should
with
get a
the
Linux
programme
based
tonight.
phone. Alphabet Cat suggests. Hobbit.
A what phone?
A Linux-based phone. That's what Alphabet Cat suggests.
Well, why don't you just go and eat some vegetarian corn with a Brutus if you like Linux so much?
Yeah.
Oh, Damien says a relative of his sold his Ford Granada to the makers of Boone, and it got blown up in an episode.
Well, if it's the Mark III, then that's good because that was just a big Sierra, wasn't it? A jelly mold. There's the one before the boxy
the Scorpio
one.
Was nice because that was the one with all the bells and whistles on.
Yeah, but it was still a jelly mold. The early '80s one, the boxy one, is a good one. The big Cortina, that was a nice car.
Before that, the rounded one was better.
Yeah, sort of. I know. I preferred the '80s one, but yeah. But anyway, shall we kick on with this?
Cortina Mark IV as well, then, Ian.
Mark IV. That the '80s one. I'm trying to place it. Yeah, I quite like that as well, but you know, the Granada was just they just made it a Cortina a bit bigger, didn't they?
Yeah.
Had a Mondeo, which I think isn't a Mondeo a modern Granada?
No, I think the Mondeo.
So got it actually. Actually, I forgot.
No, because they did a modern Granada. Do you not remember it had that weird smile-looking thing on the front? The front looked like a smile. Do you remember that? It was a horrible, ugly thing that died a death.
Yeah, I do remember they had some funny ones before they got rid of it. Strange, isn't it? I said I had a Mondeo, but actually I've still got it. So I forgot I even had it. But yeah. But anyway.
Like Mondeo.
Yeah, I quite like them. I liked mine.
The Jaguar S-Type is a Ford Mondeo.
Yeah, it's got
Jaguar bits on it.
I quite like those, but they stopped making them a long time ago, didn't they? So you can't
the X-Type.
You can't buy a decent spec one now.
What do you mean? You can still buy them on the second-hand market. I got a Jaguar S-Type.
But they're well old.
Hold on a minute. This is Fortean Words,
20 years old.
Fortean Words.
Hey. They made a newer version. It'd be the best car in the world.
I mean, I've got a Jaguar S-Type. It's 22 years old. I really like it. I'm happy with my new cars are shit. Fuck new cars.
They're more reliable, though, aren't they? When you get in, when you drive in,
not by 60
miles.
Mile. They're not.
No, if they're well.
I mean, I've worked in vehicle recovery. I can tell you, most of the recoveries I did were modern cars. They got too much electronics in them. They always go wrong. And the other thing that's awful is the handbrake's electronic as well. So when you run out of power because the computer on the cars doesn't switch off, look, they can't move the handbrake, so you're stuck. You have to use something called slippery Jims. Absolute fucking dog shit. Fuck modern cars. Can't stand them. Would never drive one.
Right. I'm sure there's not going to be a lot of modern cars in the episode you've got planned for us, Ian.
Before we actually get stuck into the episode, there is a conspiracy theory based on this. Chat, I would like your opinion on this. Tell me if you know anything about this. 2030 seems to be a deadline to ban a lot of things. Smoking, coal for domestic fire use, certain types of wood would be banned for domestic fire use. The sale of new petrol and diesel cars will be banned.
Or they just suggested not to.
Red meat, contact sports, pregnancy, abortion, but then again, so will pregnancy be illegal without a license? It's pretty much like, it's pretty much going to be like Demolition Man, the society.
Taco Bell end, more like.
One moment.
But anyway, okay, so shall we get on with this, because we've got quite a bit to get through tonight, and then we can talk about cars as well as we go. Yeah. All right, okay, let's kick off. Are you ready, everyone?
Ian's double date from the weekend, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a bit of all right. No, if you're sitting comfortably... you ruin it. No. Anyway, okay. So, we're all familiar with the classic images of the Loch Ness Monster swimming across the loch before plunging into the murky depths. But does the creature ever leave the water and come ashore, I hear you ask? Well, the answer to the question is yes. And tonight, we're going to have a look at the occasions when the monster was seen on land. But first, we've had some developments on the videos that I took when I went to Loch Ness in April. I shot some footage of Steve Feltham's mobile home on the shore of the loch, and it was all locked up, and there was no one there. And on my commentary to the video, I expressed my doubts about whether Steve lived there at all. Anyway, about 2 months after I posted the video on YouTube, a comment appeared from Steve Feltham instead, the person himself, in response to my video, and it reads as follows. Yes, I do live here. I also go out. 31 years this has been my home. You also were not at your home when you were filming mine, so does that make your home your apparent home? Ooh, handbags. Ooh, he's not very pleased, eh? Hey. Ooh, you didn't like that, what I said. Anyway, I didn't mean to upset Steve Feltham, and he doesn't seem to understand the context of my video.
Steve Feltham, Steve Felted, more like.
Yeah. Steve smelt them because he smells in the playground. That's what he was called in school, and he used to cry.
Steve Feltham stalking you now, Ian. You're going to have to get a restraining order.
Steve felt them because he feels men up. Yeah, anyway. Feels their balls. Steve felt them. Anyway, I don't know how he found my video. He must have been Googling himself, which is a bit sad in itself. And I can only suggest that he man up and grow a pair. But anyway.
he needs to stop Googling men.
Yeah. Anyway, but that's interesting because a few months back, Tim Dinsdale's daughter caught me snooping around her property, and now I've upset Steve Feltham. So I'm becoming a bit of a nuisance to the people connected with Loch Ness.
You're going to get to the bottom of it, Ian.
I think next I'm going to put dog dirt through Nicholas Witchell's letterbox there and cause more unrest. He was involved in Loch Ness, and Nicholas Witchell, the newsreader.
Was he?
Boring. Yeah, he wrote a book about it and used to go there and be involved with the search teams. But anyway. Enough about that. Let's get on with tonight's hot topic. Loch Ness Monster, land sightings. So what we'll do first, we'll go over to Dom, who's going to run through some of the early reports. Over to you, Dom.
Right. The earliest account of the Loch Ness Monster seen on land comes from 1527. It's also one of the earliest reports of the monster, perhaps the second documented sighting. Duncan Campbell refers to the monster as a terrible beast which came out onto land. The beast then went on to kill 3 men that attacked it with its powerful tail. There is no description of the monster and not much more detail to the story, mainly due to the tale being almost 500 years old, and it's the only time that the monster has killed anyone.
Violent.
Next encounter. Completely uncalled for.
Yeah.
The next encounter with the Loch Ness Monster on land is relayed by Una McPherson. Happened on a summer's day in 1879, whilst Una was having a picnic with a group of children in the Urquhart Bay area of the loch. Una recounted the sightings as follows. Coming down a slope behind and towards us, an enormous and extraordinary animal, bigger than an elephant but about the same sort of colour. It had a head perched on a relatively slender neck. It turned from side to side and seemed to peer at us. It passed a few yards to one side and waddling down the lake where it entered the water and disappeared. It had a long tail. Children hurriedly abandoned their picnic, and at first Una's parents did not believe her story. However, when word got round the next day that 18 other children had also seen the animal, her parents grudgingly admitted that there must be something to the story after all.
I do have something that's tangentially related to this, by the way. So once you've done your bit, I'll mention a painting I've seen.
Cool.
Some years later, in 1910, Una went to a circus and saw a performing sea lion. It brought back memories of the encounter all those years ago.
Flashbacks.
She went on. Both had the same type of flippers and a similar head. Even the same colour, dark grey. They even moved in a similar way, humping its shoulders. In fact, the only difference I could see between the animals was the one at Drumnackrocket was fatter.
Drumnackrocket.
That's the one.
That one there.
Was fatter and more clumsy, with a longer neck, and of course it was larger, very much larger, almost the size of a horse.
They hung like a horse as well.
Yeah.
So this is one of the things that's been said, that there's a painting called The Suicide of Saul. I've put it in general, and it's from 1562. And the description says that people knew about dinosaurs back in the 16th century. If you look closely, you will see 3 dinosaurs in the centre of the painting with riders sitting on them. Many people think they were camels, but they weren't. The ancient legends of many nations mentions dragons. If you go into detail, this mythical creature is very similar to dinosaurs In other words, dragon is the folkloric name for a dinosaur. We again refer to the dinosaurs episode for it being a load of bollocks.
Dinosaur meaning terrible lizard.
How could these ancient animals get into myths and legends if, according to the generally accepted scientific theory, dinosaurs became extinct tens of millions of years before the appearance of man? So, yeah, it's an interesting painting. They're quite significantly like... They remind me of a brontosaurus with a long neck.
Yeah. There are similar creatures still alive, like the giraffe, the elephant, the rhino, which, could well be mythical beasts if they weren't still alive and we knew about them. The alligator, the whale, and so on. The basking shark. So, yeah.
They found the thing recently with a bunch of whales where they're just standing on end and nobody knows what they're doing.
They'd beat up a shark, probably.
They're sleeping.
No, they're not sleeping. That's the thing. They said, no, they're not asleep. They're just there communing.
Been a laugh. Anyway.
Yes, shall I take you back to Urquhart Bay? A year later, in 1880, in the Bay area of the Loch, Eric Bright and his cousin saw a strange animal emerge from the woods, actually waddle down to the water's edge on four short legs, grey in colour, and stood about 3 breadths, looking from side to side with its long neck. Then it entered the water and swam quickly across the loch, leaving a tremendous wash. It was dark grey, and by the look of it, it was the very same animal that was seen by the children the year before. When they arrived at the spot where the animal had entered the water, the men found the ground was covered with prints made by some sort of clawed flippers. And now let's go back to Ian.
Claude flippers, is it related to Claude balls?
Interesting. Sergeant Oinkwinson says chickens are related to dinosaurs in the same way that Barry George used to claim to be related to Freddie Mercury, didn't he?
So like a pigeon is just a distant cousin of a Tyrannosaurus Rex? I doubt it.
Well, that's what they say, innit? That's what they say. So.
Yeah, but they say a load of bullshit, don't they? Like, they say, I need another £5 million in 7 years to study shark sleep.
Even though we didn't find out whether sharks sleep or not.
Yeah.
They
can say that if they want. It doesn't really bother me. It's like they said that,
It bothers me because
birds
I think, how do I want to get on the racket where I can claim millions of pounds to study fish sleeping?
We're in the wrong game.
You want to kill a shark, hold it upright. Right then, okay. That's what whales do to kill sharks, is hold them upright. Because they can't, it stops the water going through their gills, yeah. So anyway, let's get on with this, because we're mucking around a bit here, aren't we? So, in the 1890s, it was reported that a gypsy woman came across a large creature lying next to the Dawes Foyers Road. She was so afraid that she rushed home to her husband, who also happened to be her brother. Thereafter, she always detoured around the spot. So that's what happened in the 1890s when the monster came on land. And then we move into the 20th century. There were more reports of the monster being seen on land. Let's have a look. On a September afternoon in 1909, a group of children were playing on the loch shore about 3/4 of a mile from Fort Augustus when an unusual encounter took place. One of the children, Margaret Cameron, was interviewed in 1971 and recounted the following tale as to what happened that day. I was with my 2 brothers and young sister Lizzie, who was in a pram. We were waiting for some friends, and we were passing the time by skimming stones across the water. We heard this awful crackling in the trees on the other side of the little bay. It must have been something awfully big, we thought, and of course we had been warned not to go near the loch by our grandparents, as there were these wild horses in the loch, and we thought this must be one of them. Maybe referring to the kelpie there. So we sat. We sat for a wee while, and this crackling seemed to be coming nearer and nearer. And then, suddenly, this big thing appeared out of the trees and started to move down the beach towards the water. I couldn't tell you if it had a long neck or short neck because it was pointing straight at us. It had a huge body, and its movement was as if it had come out of the trees. As it came out of the trees, was like a caterpillar. I would say it was a good 20 feet long, what we saw of it, and now the colour of it, I hadn't seen an elephant in them days, but it was the colour of an elephant, and it seemed to have a rather shiny skin.
Have you seen a peanut stand or a rubber band? Or a needle that winks its eye?
In those days, people didn't even go out of their villages, did they? But had you not seen an elephant, how did you know it was the colour of an elephant? You must have seen one since. It was 1971, so they...
Probably
anyway,
seen Dumbo. You will believe an elephant can fly.
Under it, we saw 2 short, round feet at the front, and it lurched to one side and put 1 foot into the water.
Was it playing?
We didn't wait to see the end. Yeah, we didn't wait. We didn't wait to see the end of it coming out. We got far too big a fright. When we got home, we were all sick and couldn't take out our tea. So we had to explain what happened, and we told our mum and dad, and our grandfather was...
said, "Do you want to see my elephant's trunk?"
The grandfather was here, so it's probably him. So, yeah, the grandfather was there, and I can see him banging on the table and telling us not to tell anybody about it, so he may have known of the monster.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were put to bed with a big dose of castor oil. Still very vivid in my mind.
Don't you take that to make you puke?
You know, they used to take it in the old days.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Is that what it does?
She followed through. Anyway.
Let's shit the bed.
Yep.
Joke's on you when I have to change your bed because you've shit yourselves. That'll learn you. Are Scottish people, not very smart?
Incontinent, aren't they?
It's a bit like Jeffrey Dahmer's mum taking all those sleepers.
Oh, God.
Anyway, just finish off.
There seems to be a thread coming through this, like people who try to sleep and shit themselves.
Yeah.
When you
so anyway,
you poop for real.
It's still very vivid in my mind. I shall never forget it, and that's the end of the story. So there, you put it on a bit soon, Hemi.
Pooping in the bed or the monster?
Both, but mainly the picture there. That picture there is actually of the witnesses in their later years, sisters Margaret Cameron and her younger sister Leslie. So that's not.
I don't fancy yours,
that young.
Leslie the sister Vista.
Well, don't look at the fireplace, eh? That's what you do there.
I knew.
Yeah. Looking a right pair of busybodies, aren't they?
Tatties and neeps, wouldn't she?
Pair of curtain twitchers. Alaxes.
Did you neep on her tatties?
Yeah. As Dawson's mother-in-law.
She's got all that castor oil. She's got a cone on. You can see your face in, hasn't she?
No doubt, having a good chin wag about other people's business over the garden fence. Okay. And probably racist as well.
Are they standing in front of the lock, are they?
I don't know. Wherever they are, they probably know everyone else's business, don't they?
Yeah.
Know what at number 23 is up to. Dim over the road. Anyway, so there you go. Bit of
Anyway.
So let's go on to the next one. In 1912, the monster decided to come ashore again as a monk observed the beast come out of the woods and enter the loch near Fort Augustus Abbey. Then, on a stormy night in February 1919,
that's what they do.
I don't know. We're up to something with one of the choir boys.
Yeah.
We've heard the rumours.
You know how to get a nun pregnant, don't you?
That's the Catholic one. I'm not sure what they are, but monks, Catholic ones, they're the ones that have the reputation for that. Isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, then on a stormy night in February 1919, young Jock Forbes and his father were returning in their pony and cart from Inverness.
Stereotypical name.
Nearing the hamlet of Inverfrag, they put their pony suddenly started and backed away. Jock and his father peered ahead, and there was something crossing the road out of the forest and ambling towards the loch. As they tried to climb the pony, they were aware that whatever was in the road before was a very big animal. As it splashed into the water, and Jock's father murmured to himself in Gaelic, spurred the pony forward and rushed home. Locke later recalled that he never spoke of the incident again. Well, how can we know it now, though? But anyway.
Never. He never spoke of it again, Ian.
Yeah.
Now it's pronounced Gaelic.
Everyone knows about it, especially those two women. They know about it.
Yeah.
A right good chin wag. In 1923, 2 miles north of Invermorrison, Alfred Cruikshank saw a bizarre hippo-like animal, 20 to 25 feet long, with webbed feet, cross the road in front of his car. Yeah. He described it as having a short neck, unusual, a long tail, and 4 thick legs. So,
humanity.
Could have been an elephant walking backwards.
They've been doing the moonwalk. In the heyday of the Loch Ness Monster in 1924, the Lincolnshire Gazette printed the following story.
Oh, I didn't tell you, Ian, did I? I was around my dad's the other day. I went to him. I said, Dad, there's a man at the door with a bill. He said it's probably a duck with a hat on.
Ah, right. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Right. Or the microwave one.
Yeah. What's that one?
You've heard that one anyway. I'm not gonna. Or if you want, we'll have it again. How do you turn a duck into a soul singer in the microwave until its bill withers?
Oh.
Thought everyone's heard that one though. Anyway, back to this. One Burness man, Robert Henderson, claims to have seen the Loch Ness Monster 9 years ago. He was motoring with Mr. James Patterson from Inverness to Drumnadrochit.
Karaoke says in chat, he says, did it have blue hair and glasses? Was it lecturing people about their pronouns, this hippo?
Oh, right, yeah. But anyway, about 2 miles from the village, the car's headlights showed the monster crossing the road. According to Mr. Henderson, it resembled a seal in Yeah.
To the other side?
It was the chicken's day off.
To go to Alaska, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, it was much larger than a seal. There was something on its large rounded humpback, and it looked like wings. So the monster had wings this time. Suddenly it raised its head to give a throaty cry and bounded on its flippers.
Might be just Paul McCartney solo. You don't necessarily know its wings, do you?
Yeah, with Linda
singing.
tapping on about vegetarian shit, and then she died, and he replaced her with the one-legged woman, wasn't it? Who took him to the cleaners. Anyway, so the flippers bounded off on the road into the loch. Mr. Henderson noticed that it was about 20 feet long with a tail like a crocodile. He was amazed at its agility. Thinking that people would only laugh at them, Mr. Henderson and his friend did not tell anybody at the time that they had seen the monster. But then these were not the days of monsters. Today, monsters are common as peas and difficult to catch, is what he said. So, yeah.
Yep.
In the early 1930s, Alec Muir saw the monster crossing the road in front of his Model T Ford near Dawes. The beast was about the height of his car, and he followed the trail through the woods to a clearing in which there was a large depression of crushed moss. So evidence. Also in the early 1930s, a group of Drumnadrochit school children told their teacher they had seen the most peculiar and horrifying animal in a swamp by Urquhart Bay. When shown a picture of a plesiosaur, they said that was the animal they had seen. So, must have been the monster. And again, in early 1930s, a couple driving along the shore road near Fort Augustus Abbey saw the monster on a hillside. The woman promptly suffered a heart attack, and the husband rushed her to the monastery while the monster plunged into the lake. So...
Oh, I've seen something slightly unexpected. I'm just going to go have a heart attack now.
The monster killed some people in the first tale, didn't it? And now causing a heart attack. But anyway...
she had it coming.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're now approaching the glory days of the monster. They're like the early days we covered there with some sightings. We'll just go over to Dom now, who's going to tell us a bit more as we head into the 1930s.
Oh, no, not the 1930s.
Yeah.
Next land sighting took place in 1932 by Lieutenant Fordyce. So, and let's have a look at a picture of him.
Yeah, Hammy, let's look at this bloke. Next picture, please. Get rid of those old hacks.
Geezer, doesn't he?
Yeah. Imagine him having a threesome with those two women before. innit? Doing both of them, taking it in turns to do both of them.
Like ultra mature porn.
Yeah. Yeah. You think of that Hobbit?
I'd rather not. No, you can't make me think about these things.
His arse going up and down.
Don't think about red elephants.
Yeah. Yeah, there he is. Boring bastard. Anyway.
What he said of the encounter. April 1932, while living in Kent, my fiancée and I travelled to Aberdeen to attend a family wedding. At the conclusion of the function, rather than return south straight away, I decided to show her a little of my native land.
Is this the one where he says I
Cut
woke up the
across
next
to
morning and
Inverness.
someone had been sick in my
The
pocket?
preparations appeared to be...
I said, is this the one where he woke up the next morning and someone was sick in his pocket?
Someone shat my pants.
Cut across to Inverness while preparations of it appeared to be in full swing for a Highland gathering. After dinner in the late evening, we took a stroll through the town, saw men in shop doorways and at street corners practising on their bagpipes.
Oh, hold on one
The air
second.
was
I might
full
have
of
to do that
sublime
again,
music,
Tom.
rent with strange wild sounds.
I think it's crashed. Again. Is it playing okay for everyone?
We on here.
Arbit, can you check the stream?
In the chat, everyone, can you hear it okay?
Yeah, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I'll just go and listen to the stream right now. I can hear the stream, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Then
Okay.
Yeah, the stream's running.
It was swirling for me. I didn't know.
Hold on.
Didn't know whether OBS had crashed, but I did update it and we didn't have any problems last week.
So,
I think it's
alright,
okay.
so I'm good
It swirled, actually. I had a swirl then as well. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, bagpipes and shit. The following morning, we set off on our journey back to England. Weather was fine, a beautiful spring day, and we had a lovely run by the side of Loch Ness as far as Foyers, where we spent a short while admiring the famous waterfall. Shortly after leaving Foyers, the road to Fort William turns away from the loch side and runs through well-wooded country with the ground falling slightly towards the loch.
But the end of the
Travelling at about
timeline.
25 miles per hour in this wooded section.
That's
What's
all right,
that?
that was me. I accidentally opened a window.
End of the timeline.
Yeah.
Um,
Throw everyone off then. Sorry.
Wait. Yeah, travelling at about 25 miles per hour in this wooded section, we were startled to see an enormous animal coming out of the woods on our left, making its way over the road about 150 yards ahead of us towards the loch. It had the gait of an elephant, but looked like a cross between a very large horse and a camel.
I've never seen an elephant with a gate. What's an elephant doing with a gate?
Gatekeeper.
Yeah.
The hump on its back and a small head on a long neck. I stopped the car and followed the creature on foot for a short distance. From the rear it looked grey and shaggy. Its long thin neck gave it the appearance of an elephant, trunk raised. Fortunately I'd left my camera in the car. Always a bloody case, isn't it? In any case, I quickly thought discretion a better part of valour and returned to the vehicle.
Shit himself.
Strange animal occupied our thoughts and conversation for many, many miles. Came to the conclusion that it was an escaped freak from a menagerie or zoo. Felt that a beast of such tremendous proportions would soon be tracked down and captured. There is a shirt that Fordyce saw. Do the next one.
Mock-up. Let's have a look and see the animal he saw and see if this is how we know the monster.
Okay. It's a camel.
Yeah. And then,
I don't know what to
Well,
say. It's a
something
fucked up
strange.
camel.
yeah. It's not the usual image we have of the creature, is it? But anyway, yeah.
It's a rather unusual one.
It's very strange.
It's a very small head.
Yeah, small head, long neck, long legs. The usual flippers that we're familiar with. But,
How does it eat enough with such a small jaw?
How does it smell?
Must be a vegetarian diet to get down there.
Terrible.
Its nose. Oh no. Go on. Go for it, Dom. It's still got...
Apart from scanning the national papers for some time in search of mention of the creature, we let the matter rest. I told other members of my family what we had seen, and they urged me to publish the story, but I've not done so until now. At the time of the sighting, we were quite unaware of there being anything strange in Loch Ness. In autumn of that year, stories started appearing in the press of an unusual animal being seen in and around the loch. It was the spring of 1933 that the term Loch Ness Monster came into general use.
Was it Hitler that did it?
33.
Yeah. It was a diversion from what was going on over there.
William McLean came across a large animal lying on a gravel beach near Norris. Animal slithered into the loch when McLean approached it. In 1933, David Stewart observed a grey-coloured thing come out of the bushes in Altsea, disappeared into the loch and had a long neck. Here we go. Back to Ian.
Yeah, good stuff. Interesting though, isn't it? Because this is when the monster started to become famous in the early 1930s. You also had Jeff the Talking Mongoose at the same time.
Yeah.
Woolly Rectory as well. That's still going.
Jeff the Talking
so
Mongoose,
yeah, interesting time. The 30s.
I suppose has Harry Price never been involved in Nessie then, Ian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harry Price has been involved with Nessie.
No, well, the thing is, Nessie could have been an actual. No, he hasn't, because
Are you
it
calling
could
Harry
be like
Price
a real
question?
animal,
How
a
very
real
dare
creature,
you?
innit? That's whereas Harry Price was into the supernatural, wasn't he? So, whereas Loch Ness is a real monster, a real flesh and blood monster that breeds.
So it looks a bit like
as in the eco chain. But anyway, let's move on, and now we're getting into some of the stories that made the monster famous. So let's look at this one. On the afternoon of July the 22nd, 1933, Mr. and Mrs. George Spicer were driving along the east side of Loch Ness. It was around 3:30 or 4 p.m. They were about halfway between Dawes and Foyers. They were driving up a slight hill when an extraordinary creature crossed the road in front of them. The creature was only in view for a few seconds, and it practically took up the whole of the road as it crossed. The location on the body where the Spicers presumed the head would have been was across the road before they had time to take in the whole shape properly. So they didn't see the head. The skin was greyish in colour, and they couldn't see a foreskin. They described the overall colour as being like a dirty elephant having a dirty protest. The body of the creature was large and thick, and it moved across the road in a series of jerks before it ejaculated. A long tentacle, which was presumed to be the neck, stretched towards the right of the road. This neck undulated up and down, and in an up and down motion, like a man's member, and twisted in a series of
This is highly
half
sexual, isn't it? You know, so I think somebody needs a bit, don't they? I think that's what.
Well, this has turned into hentai.
Yeah.
The creature then vanished into the shrubbery on the other side of the road. There were no visible legs of any sort, no ear or tail, but the body sloped down to the start of the neck, about 4 to 5 feet above the roadway. The Spicer saw something flopping down. Mr. Spicer said of this appendage, "I took this to be the end of the creature's long tail swung around the body. The way it flopped up and down reminded me of my flaccid cock just before I've had a piss, shaking my dick up and down to get rid of the drips. So I don't end up with a wet penny showing at the front of my light grey trousers." And they're the words of the witness. Mr. Spicer also thought this object may have been a smaller creature riding on the bigger one, reverse cowboy style. So, we'll do then. Let's have a look at the artist's impression of what the Spicers saw on that fateful day. So let's just have a look at the next picture there. Hobbit.
What the fuck is that?
We'll have a look and see what we got.
It's a big sperm.
Picture number 4. Hey.
It looks like a big sperm.
Looks like, yeah. So, Spicer described this. That's something unusual. It's not. Spicer described the creature as looking overall like a huge snail with a long neck, but looks like something you would see in an Ann Summer shop on the shelf next to the double-ended dildos, or maybe something to put up your arse while you pleasure yourself, or something your wife would put in her cunt. So that's what got there. That's what they saw. The road is at least 12 feet across, with a grassy knoll on each side. The creature had fully crossed the road and vanished down the slope by the time the Spicer's car reached the spot, and the trees between the road and the lake blocked any good view of the shoreline itself. They slowed down as they passed the spot, but did...
I said I never saw that one in the family nest.
Or the other one with the legs.
Yeah.
But they passed the spot but did not stop. The grass on the other side of the road looked tramples down. Yeah, me neither. Or the one with the long legs, That one either. They were sort of fattish type creatures. But anyway, so this was one of the sightings that kick-started the monster craze of the 1930s. So yeah, there you go. The Spicer sighting. Yeah, so... right, we never saw this in the family nest, but... or on Scooby-Doo. But we did, didn't we? Because Scooby-Doo did have a feature-length Loch Ness film.
Oh, did they?
Which we can review one night. But anyway, so that's that. That's that sighting. Yeah. Anyway, in early August 1933, near Inverfrag, Mrs. T. McLennan witnessed a creature on land. She said it had 4 thick, clumsy legs with pig's hoofs. In December 1933, near Inverfrag, Mrs. Reed witnessed an animal resting on the loch shore. So yeah, it's around this period more people are seeing the monster in the water and in the land, as we know. Just go to the next picture there, please, Hemi. Picture number 5. We'll have a look at this illustration.
Oh, it's the bike one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like the Red Skull from Captain America. Is this Red Skull versus Captain America Loch Ness? Captain Ness.
Anyway, so the next sighting of the monster happened in the early hours of the 5th of January 1934. The witness was a veterinary student, Arthur Grant, was travelling down the side of the loch on his motorcycle. Grant said of his encounter, "It was a bright moonlight and after rain had fallen, when almost 40 yards away under the shadow of the hills, a short distance from the part reconstructed as the Glasgow to Inverness Road near Abercarn, I observed what appeared to be a large black object on the opposite side of the road. I was almost on top of it when it turned what I thought was a small head on a long neck, and the creature, apparently taking fright, made 2 great bounds across the road and plunged into the loch. I had a splendid view of the object. In fact, I almost struck it with my motorcycle. It had a long neck with an eel-like head and large oval-shaped eyes just on top of the small head. Body was very hefty, and I distinctly saw 2 front flippers. There were 2 other flippers which seemed to be webbed behind, and there was a tail, which I would estimate to be from 5 to 6 feet long. The curious thing about the tail was that it did not, so far as I could see, come to a point. It was more rounded off. The total length of the animal would be from 15 to 20 feet. Knowing something about natural history, I can say that I have never seen anything like it in my life. It looked like a hybrid. I jumped off my cycle, but the animal, with great speed, had rushed into the loch, splashing the surface violently and making away. So there you go. That's the Arthur Grant sighting. And if you put the next picture up there, Hemi, we'll see an illustration. Obviously, that's a bit dramatised, that one. But if you look at the next one, this is the picture that Grant himself produced as to what he saw that night.
They had legs
so let's
and
have
flippers.
A look. Legs, flippers, tail,
like
head,
at the back,
long neck.
Heads and toes.
Yeah.
You know. So that's
legs,
what
flippers,
he looked like.
Knees and toes.
Oh. It didn't take long for news of Grant's sighting to spread, and the day after it happened, the story appeared in the prestigious Times newspaper. The Glasgow Herald attended the scene of the sighting and reported that they found the remains of a goat, a mass of compressed hair, presumably regurgitated by the monster, and some tracks. So yeah,
they ran over a goat, basically.
Obviously the monster had killed a goat. It and then thrown up. So anyway, monster hunter Marmaduke Wetherell, who was later exposed as faking Loch Ness monster evidence, including the famous surgeon's photo, got in on the act. So let's look at the next photo there. It's interesting. Next photo there, if you could, number 7. Have a look at that. What we've got there.
Look in there, fag on. Good lad.
Having a fag, yeah, they all smoked in those days.
Smoke tabs, drink beer.
Smoke anyway.
8 years before it's illegal, along with petrol cars and everything else.
So anyway.
And alcohol.
So what you've got there is Arthur Grant on the right-hand side, and Marmaduke Wetherell having a fag, inspecting the remains of a sheep apparently killed by the monster. So, yeah, the days after the sighting. But did Grant see the monster that night, or did he see something else? And was he mistaken? Was it all one big hoax, this? It's been suggested that Grant made it all up.
For a second.
It was
be a hoax.
It was reported that Grant and a friend were overheard calling the newspapers from a telephone at a local garage and saying, "They've swallowed it." So that's just what someone said. And that's Arthur Grant's encounter, though. But what happened that night, we'll never know. Did he see the monster? Was he on an acid trip or an E? Likely, the rave culture had yet to kick in the 1930s. Was he simply pissed out of his head?
Did he do a skid? Hit a kid, whack his balls on a dustbin lid? Did he do that?
Could have done, but if he did, it was okay to drink and drive in those days. The breathalyzer wouldn't be invented for many decades to come with it. So, but unlike these days, police technology is so advanced that breathalyzers don't just tell you how much someone has been drinking, but exactly what they've been drinking. So I think it'd be a good idea what we're going to do now. We'll take the story we've just heard, the Arthur Grant encounter, but let's put it into a contemporary setting and see what would have happened if Arthur Grant had his encounter not in 1934, but in 2022. So what we'll do now, we're going to step into the actor's studio and play out what would have happened on that fateful night if it had occurred in 2022. So what we're going to do is Tom is going to play the part of Arthur Grant, and I, myself, will play the part of Police Constable Juliet Bravo. So, further ado.
There's a reference for the kids, Ian.
Let's enter the actor's studio. Hello. Is this your vehicle, sir?
Yes, it was the last time I checked anyway.
Could we have less of the wisecracks, sir? Do you know why I'm stopping you?
Idea, Constable. Anyway, what are you doing around these parts? Shouldn't you be doing the Macarena at Gay Pride?
Don't get cheeky with me, son, or you'll find yourself down the station.
Sorry, Constable.
Right. Have you got any idea what speed you are doing, sir?
No, Constable.
don't you think it's about time you paid more attention to the rules of the road and less time acting the wise guy?
Do, Constable, but I've just seen a big monster on the road and had to get away.
Oh, you've seen a monster, have you? Do you think I'm stupid or something?
You're a policeman.
Right, that's it. I've had enough of your cheek. I have reason to believe that you've been drinking, and you're going to go down for this. Would you blow into this breathalyzer, please? It's the latest technology, so not only will I find out how much you've been drinking, but exactly what you've been drinking.
Okay, Constable. Yeah, done.
Jacob's Creek Chardonnay, 1991.
Right, okay. Right, let's see what we've got. Right, so I can see you've drunk 2 pints, and let's have a look what you've been drinking. Aren't you Mark Almond? And relax. There you go. So that's what would have happened. Would have happened anyway in a contemporary setting of that encounter. Okay, well, just warm down, just relax and warm down after that bit of.
I thought the police were
police
are cryptid now, aren't they? You never see them, do you?
You do a gay pride, don't you?
Yeah.
So anyway,
so if you want to see the police, say something mean on Twitter.
Or if you want to upset Steve Feltham, say something. Well, don't even bother saying anything. He upsets himself.
Yeah.
But anyway, he gets angry at the internet.
And that bloke that moaned at us about our Fred West episode.
Oh yeah, him. First thing about that is though, what happened to because that was we uploaded that one for a second time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's got about 300 views. The first time it was about 2,000.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Well, it got took down for something. Someone was saying bad things, were they?
Yeah.
So I got took down. Anyway, that's a shame. That. Anyway, there you go.
That implication.
You said it 3 times last episode, I bet.
I only say fuck or bugger a couple of times.
Yeah, you made up for having not said it for a couple of weeks last week, didn't you?
I was tired and
but anyway, okay.
We're all trans.
So that's
now.
the Arthur Grant encounter.
If you're on YouTube, you've got to be trans. You can't get struck.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's just move on now. So we got the Arthur Grant encounter and our short role play at the end. So we saw these pictures a few months back. It's worth another look though. Just show the next picture there, Hemi. Go to the next one. So near the site of Arthur Grant's encounter, show the picture there. There is a mock-up of the monster. Look at that. If we can look at that picture. There we go. That's it there. So that's what Arthur Grant saw that night, and they've commemorated it with that full-size picture of Nessie. And if you go on to the next picture there, Hemi, as well, picture number 9, we can have a look at that. And the accompanying plaque with the statue commemorating what happened that night for the tourists to see. So have a look at the next picture there. There we go. Tells you the... in brief what we've just run through. So yeah, there we go. So anyway, now let's go back to Dom, who's going to tell us more about the monster on land.
On the 30th of January 1934, about 8 p.m, 2 local women, Tricia Harvey and Jean MacDonald, had the fright of their life when they saw the monster on land less than a mile from Fort Augustus. Witnesses were taking a walk along the new road near Knuckton Dock. And they were startled by the appearance of a weird-looking creature which crossed the burn there and disappeared into the thick bushes fringing into the loch. It was a full moon. It was a clear night. Women stated that there was no possibility of their mistaking the strange creature for any familiar animal, especially as they were only 20 feet away when they first saw it. said that the beast made no sound as it moved, in spite of its huge size. It was about 10 feet in length and had 4 feet. The height to the top of the head would have been about 6 feet, and the thickest part of the body appeared at the shoulder, tapering small dimensions at the tail. The creature was of a dark colour, with the exception of the underpart of the neck, which was white. The creature's legs appeared very short, but did not prevent it from moving with great rapidity. Men then shat themselves and made to the village with great haste. Skeptics suggested that the women had seen an otter, only due to the underside of the neck being white. The underside of an otter's neck is white, but the otters grow to a maximum length of 4 feet. The women were adamant that what they saw was 10 feet long, and being only 20 feet away from the creature when they saw it, it's unlikely that they were mistaken. Can we have the next picture, please?
Yep. There we go. It's up. That's an otter versus Nessie, is it?
Yeah.
Go take on.
Yeah, so there's the size difference. Unlikely to be an otter what they saw, but obviously otters do have heads, whereas in this case the actual monster doesn't have a head. So anyway,
I found someone who pronounces names nearly as good as Dom does. I'll stick a quick
Ignadrocket.
In the Portugal take on Greece in the big opener. Now let's get a Greek point of view from the Greek daily newspaper Eleftheris Typos. Goodness me, I hope I pronounced that right. And let's say a very good morning to next guest, George Kapop. Oh, hold on, George Kapopoulos. Oh, George, I'm sorry, I'm struggling with. I always have struggled with Greek names. George, good morning.
Good morning. You didn't do too badly.
He didn't do too badly. I do struggle with those Scottish names, says Don.
They're ridiculous, though. Okay, right. Well, the 22nd of February, 1934, near Foyers, I got that one.
That's good.
Maureen Taylor witnessed a large creature with a long neck, heavy body, short, thick legs, with webbed feet move to the water. Back to Ian.
Hold on, are they describing Nora Batty?
She was one of those two women we saw earlier.
Yeah. And a wrinkle.
Anyway, okay then, let's go. So that's that. So yeah, still. So there's lots of sightings on the 1930s. They say it could have been down to King Kong as well, putting ideas into people's heads. Or the monster could have been real. Don't rule that out. Let's look at this one. On the 5th of June 1934, Margaret Monroe, daughter of Dan the Miller and native of Fort Augustus, was working as a maid to Mr. and Mrs. Pimley. Mr. Pimley was master at the Abbey School, sort of a posh school where the biscuit game was common. You get the sort of idea what sort of community was. Dan the Miller,
was.
The village simpleton. Mr. Pimley, the rich landowner who would beat his staff and kick a horse. The sort of place where everyone knows each other and everyone knows each other.
Everybody knows his name.
Yeah. and incest is rife. But anyway, on Sunday the 3rd of June. Exactly. On Sunday the 3rd of June of that year, Margaret was doing her shift at the Pimley's residence, Kilcountrymen Lodge, even I'm having trouble now, which overlooks Boreham Bay. At 6:30 a.m, she was looking out the window. So she wasn't getting on with her work then, idly looking out the window, whilst Mr. Pimley was paying her for doing fuck all. So stop taking the piss, lazy fucking bitch. Anyway, it was during this bout of skiving that Margaret saw on the shore of the bay, as she put it, the biggest animal that she had ever seen in her life. Using binoculars, she observed the creature was almost but not entirely clear of the water.
It
was 300 yards away.
Reading, was it? Sitting on the shore of the bay.
It could well have been. But anyway, it was about 300 yards away as she watched it for 25 minutes. So from 6:30 to 6:55 when she really should have been cleaning the house. Yeah. So, you know. Asked afterwards why she did not wake Mr. and Mrs. Pimley, she said that being new in their service, she did not care to, because it was so early in the morning. Stupid fucking... basically. Yeah, stupid fucking bitch. Plus, of course, Margaret had started her shift at 6 a.m, and if the Pimleys got up about an hour later, they would have seen that she would have done fuck all, and they were paying her for it. So that's probably another reason why she didn't wake them. Margaret described the creature as having a giraffe-like neck and an absurdly small head, all out of proportion to the great dark grey body, skin like an elephant, two very short forelegs or flippers. The animal kept turning itself in the sunshine and at times arched its back into one or more humps. Finally it lowered its head, quietly entered the water and disappeared.
Ooh.
So let's have a look at the next picture and we'll see, actually, Hemi, picture number 11, what Margaret saw on the shore of the loch, when she should have been working, really. So let's have a look. Look at that. Yeah. Get on with your fucking work. Anyway. So we've got the next one up and we can show the people at home. There we go, that's what she saw. Soon after 9 a.m, Mr. and Mrs. Pimley went down to the beach to examine the spot. There was a slight impression on the rather heavy shingle, and in the centre, a small branch had been pressed into the gravel. The couple returned to the house at 10 a.m. to find that the house was still a mess. After 4 hours, Margaret hadn't lifted a finger, so they fired the lazy bitch. Anyway, we'll go back to Dom now, who's going to tell us more about Loch Ness land-based shenanigans.
The 4th of July 1934, about 9 a.m, Ian Matheson witnessed a worm or eel-like creature wriggle out of the loch, feed on weeds at Glendo. It had a 30-foot-long body, but not very thick. 12 humps and a horse-like head, mane which was shaking off water.
Like a baby's arm holding an apple.
In September 1936, Scottish artist Arthur Dallas spotted a strange creature partly ashore in Urquhart Bay. The creature was apparently sucking on a rock. Being an artist, Dallas went on to produce some sketches of what he saw. Have a look at the next picture, please.
Let's have a look. What the fucking hell? That's supposed to be.
Sucking off a rock.
Was she on the straight fence that day?
Yes, unusual monster he saw that time.
Yeah, and the next one, 2 more.
Okay.
More angles of what he saw
that's
that day.
The penis monster, even with the testicles down the bottom end of the neck.
Yeah, there is a couple of balls. Something dripping off it.
We saw this one in, was it Unexplained Mysteries the other week, weren't it, this one, I think? That's literally
so someone's jizzed over
cock,
it.
Isn't it? Like foreskin, everything.
Yeah.
And not liking what he saw, Dallas ended up throwing a sandwich at the beast.
Oh, right, that's going to scare the shit out of it.
Yeah. It's the only weapon he had.
Yeah.
It was about 25 years until the monster was seen on land again, when it exposed itself to Torquil MacLeod, an encounter that Ian is going to tell us about.
Yeah, so there's a gap of 25 years. See, monster interest waned off towards the end of the 30s as the war kicked in.
I'm not surprised they were very prudish back then, weren't they? They obviously didn't want to report sightings that looked like that one, did they?
Well, yeah, interesting. So, well, the next story. We have covered this case in the Loch Ness episode a few months ago, but it's worth revisiting, I think, so we'll run through it again. So, in February 1960, Torquil MacLeod was looking across the southern end of the loch when he sighted the monster partially ashore with its tail end trailing off into the water on the bank on the opposite side of the loch in an area called the Horseshoe Crag. Due to the horseshoe-shaped formation made by the lock.
Wow,
the rock, sorry, on the lock side.
To come up with that name, isn't it?
Yeah. MacLeod observed the creature through binoculars, estimated the creature to be huge, perhaps 60 foot long. He said the following of his experience. Upon turning my glasses on the moving object, I saw a large grey mass. I'm inclined to think the skin was wet and dry in patches, and in the front there was what looked like an outside elephant's trunk. Paddles were visible on both sides, but only on what I presumed to be the rear end, and it was this end which tapered off into the water. The animal was on a steep slope, and taking its backbone as an approximate straight line, was inclined about 15 to 20 degrees out of my line of sight. The trunk being at the top and to the left, and the tail being at the bottom of the water to the right. For about 8 or 9 minutes, the animal remained quite still, but for its trunk, I assume head, but I could not see a head as such, which occasionally moved from side to side with a slight up and down motion, just like a snake about to strike.
Oh, do you know why? Do you know why
quite slowly.
4 feet?
Go for it.
They'd look silly with 6 inches.
Anyway, it was, to my mind, obviously scanning the shores of the loch in each direction. In the end, it made a half jump, half lurch to the left, its trunk coming right round until it was facing me. Then it flopped into the water and apparently went straight down. It must have been very deep, close inshore at that point. As it turned, I saw a large square-ended flipper and a big pair of rear paddles or flippers. So what we'll do, go to the next picture there, Hemi. We'll just have a quick look at what MacLeod saw through his binoculars on that day. Picture number 14. We'll have a look at there. You can see in that.
Okay. What's the line?
Yep.
Is that exactly what he saw through his binoculars?
Yeah. Go ahead. The general shape.
The usual shape.
But, yeah, you get the idea. I think that what we will do now, also, again, we've seen this before. We can have a look again. It was in the episode a few months ago.
Why not?
If we show the clip of my visit, this site in Loch Ness, let's have a look.
Nessie Hunter Explains Away Mystery Creature is the next one.
Yeah, we'll have a look. So,
it's the Steve Felton picture's the next one after that one.
Oh no, is it? No, that's not the picture. It's the video clip I sent you.
Oh, sorry,
so let's put that on.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't put that one on there.
Where is it?
Yeah, so that's if we play the video clip, and we can see, for those who missed it or have forgotten about it, we'll have a little look at this. It's just a recap. Here we go.
You can hear that.
So in February 1960. Turquil MacLeod was stationed in about this position opposite the Horseshoe Crag when he spotted the monster half in, half out on the shore. Let's zoom in. This is what MacLeod saw through his binoculars. The creature's long neck was moving from side to side, so it's a sketch there, and that's where he saw it. On the horseshoe. Let's zoom in and see if the monster is there today. No, nothing. No monster on the shore. What is that object there? No, that's not the monster. That's not the monster, that's just a bush. MacLeod watched the monster for about 10 minutes and then it flopped back into the water with a splash. So there we go. That was Torquil McLeod's sighting. So we're not as lucky today.
There we go, all done.
Yeah, so pretty good. So that's where he saw the monster. So I had a look myself. I could see nothing, but yeah. But anyway, okay then. So that's that sighting. Let's go over to Dom. He's going to tell us some more of the sightings on land in the early 1960s and 70s. Go for it, Dom.
In August 1962, Arthur Cotton saw a long tubular animal into the water at Urquhart Castle. It made a sound like a the 15th of May 1971, an anonymous man described as an unreliable witness driving towards Foyers when he saw a large grey animal appear from the woods carrying body parts in its mouth. It was lizard-like, 30 foot long, 6 foot tall, with oily skin. It then entered the water. On the 8th of July 1979, Donald McKinnon saw a strange creature north of Foyers. It was grey in colour, 24 feet long neck and 4 feet. It emerged from the wooded area and slithered into the water.
You keep cutting out, Dom. I think you might need to get a little bit closer to your mic.
Really? How's that?
Yeah.
That's better. Yeah.
Okay. The 22nd.
Discord's really good at muting out excess noise, but unfortunately, if you get too far away from your mic, it starts cutting you out.
Right. Okay, on the 22nd of February 1999, an anonymous witness saw a 33 to 50 foot monster, long neck, cross the road in front of their car on the Doris Foyers Road. In January 2004, a Scottish girl and 2 friends saw an enormous eel at the Doris Salmon Farm. It was 30 feet long and appeared to move its tail. Ran off. It was gone upon their return. Back to Ian now, who'll finish off with some recent land sightings.
Sure, will do. So what we're going to do, let's have a look then. So, more contemporary sightings coming up to round off with. So, in January 2004, the Inverness Courier reported a land sighting of the monster that happened on Dawes Beach by 3 young women aged between 19 and 21. 3 stunners were walking along the shore when one of them shouted that she had found an anaconda. When the others reached the spot, they saw what they described as an enormous eel about 30 feet long. They thought it was dead to begin with, but appeared to move its tail as they watched. All 3 of them ran off screaming. They went back to their car, but decided to go back to the scene to take some photos of the thing, only to find that it had indeed been alive and was no longer there and must have slithered back into the loch. So, if we look at the picture there, I don't need to say next picture, Hemi, because you spoilt it and put it up. But if you look at that one there, well, look who it ain't, eh? Yeah.
Your old mate. Your old mate.
Yeah. Essie Hunter, Steve Feltham. Wanker. Yeah. Believes he has solved the mystery of 3 women seeing a giant eel on Dawes Beach.
I've got one question for Steve Feltham. Do you get a lot of Alcathene pipe just washing up on Loch Ness shore?
Yeah, well, I have no question for Steve Felton. I have no time for him at all after the, after his
Rude.
sulk.
Extremely rude, man.
Yeah, exactly. Called me a name. Anyway. Anyway, so Steve said it was most likely that they saw a length of piping discarded from the nearby fish farm.
What a fucking bunch of idiots they are, aren't they?
Yeah. The pipes are black.
Fancy falling for the old pipe on the beach routine.
Exactly. And that's just what Feltham said. He was probably just jealous, wasn't he? Just ruin it. They probably did see the monster, and he hasn't. So being like, a spiteful person,
touchy, very touchy, very thin-skinned person, isn't he?
Exactly. No testes. So anyway, so basically, where was I?
Probably a bummer. But
yeah, so
probably mates with Emma Carn, isn't he?
Exactly, and Mark Almond. Mark Almond got what was pumped out of him from Steve. So yeah, it all happened. Anyway, okay, so anyway, Steve went on. The pipes are black and about 3 inches thick, and come with an adapter that looks like a hump. There are great shards of it about, and when it's flapping about on the shore, it looks like a live eel. Mr. Feltham, who has lived in a converted van on the shores of the loch since 1991, said,
he doesn't, does he? He doesn't, because we found him out on that little lie, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
We caught him out on that one.
We're all falling for that one. Well, I did anyway. Drove all that way for fuck all. Anyway, so...
He weren't even in.
Remember, the Fortean Words exclusive? You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Doesn't live in a van. Is in fact a poser.
It was with a man. He lives with a man in a van, right?
Yeah.
So,
Mark
a white van man. Anyway, Feltham, he was the pipe, could easily be mistaken for a living creature. So,
yeah,
he went on.
Is that because is that because what he thinks?
Yeah.
He was walking along, saw a bit of pipe, and went, "Oh, it's an alien."
Oh, I'm scared. I pooed my pants. Went on. There was about 60 feet of it in the water and had a great big chunks of it on the beach. If we put the next picture up, we got a more clearer look of what he's on about, The next picture there, that's sort of what Steve thinks the girls saw that day.
Oh, definitely, without doubt, I'd think.
yeah, you're going to fall for that one, aren't you?
Hobbit, wouldn't you think that was an eel?
Yeah, with a bit of string tied around it.
I mean, like,
yeah.
it's an eel with a suitcase, obviously.
How does this teach you drinking to say, yeah, that's an eel?
A big plastic adapter attached to it, and there's some string tied around it, and you think, oh yeah, that's flesh and blood.
Definitely, no, it's an eel with a suitcase. That is definitely.
It's a Fata Morgana swamp gas over Venus, is what it is.
Yeah, definitely Fata Morgana, that one.
So that's what Feltham thinks the girls mistook for the monster. So Mr. Feltham then went on to read negative comments made about him on YouTube by a nasty man. He then started to cry, wet his pants, and ran home to his mummy. So all right, so we'll just round off now. So with a more recent sighting. So on the 2nd of February 2009, Ian Monckton from Solihull took his fiancée, Tracy Jordan, to a cottage in Invermorrison on the shores of Loch Ness to celebrate her 30th birthday. Okay. On their way back to the village the driver's window was wound down before the couple stopped the car. They heard a commotion in the water, and using the car headlights and the flash from the camera to check their footing on the rocky shores of the loch, Ian unwittingly took a photo of the elusive creature. So what we'll do, let's have a look at the next picture, Hemi, and see what he took. The photo.
Oh, without doubt, that's the Loch Ness Monster. Without a shadow of a doubt.
I don't even know if it's in the water, but yeah, apparently they took that.
Hobbit, do you reckon that's the Loch Ness Monster?
Is it?
It's not a piece of chicken.
I was going to roast chicken, yeah. But anyway, so Ian said of the incident, there is clearly a very large shape in the water that looks aquatic. A few meters out from where I was standing,
there's not clearly anything in anything there.
Well, anyway, there's the tips of the trees lower down the slope to the loch in the photo. I can see no trees, but anyway. Myself and Tracy were always quite sceptical about Nessie, But having this experience, I would say, I have a very open mind about the matter. Maybe an open relationship as well.
Hang on a minute. Is that his dick pic, do you reckon?
Yeah.
Where's the rest of it?
Jim Cook says in the chat, he said, "Thank God everyone now carries a good camera in their pockets so they can get amazing photos like this."
Anyway, Ian went on. It's the highlight of our trip. We'll definitely be back, and we are struggling to get an explanation for what we caught on camera.
Well,
just spent the evening at Drumnadrochit.
I think that'll be a mystery for the ages. That one. What the fuck are you taking a picture of there?
Anyway, we just spent the evening in Drumnadrochit, and on our way back, we stopped off at Urquhart Castle to take a few photos, but the light that illuminate the castle was switched off, so there were no photo opportunities there. Then we pulled over into a parking point to let a car pass as my fiancée was driving, as I had had a few pints and was quite pissed, and she doesn't drive fast. I had the passenger window open as I was having a spliff at the time, and as we pulled into the lay-by, there was a rustling sound and a splash. It sounded as if a mini had landed in the water. That's how loud it was. We both looked at each other, and I said, "What the fucking hell was that?"
What is the sound of a mini landing in the water?
Well, similar to the sound of a Fiesta. Similar to the sound of a Fiesta landing in the water. Yeah, we were just general. Oh yeah, or a parade. If only. What were the other ones? Big Tits Monthly.
Naughty
whatever.
Over 40.
So. Raven Ravers. It wasn't a small splash like a piece of debris or stone falling into the loch. It sounded like a car or motorbike had rolled down into the loch. I got out of the car and walked to the edge using the light from the car headlights to see where the edge of the loch dropped away, and taking snaps with the camera so the flash would let me see where to tread. The couple called out to see if anyone was there. Maybe someone was caught short and was having a piss or a shit down there, but I couldn't hear anything apart from the water splashing around the loch. And there you go. But that's the best he could come out with, that crappy photo.
That's terrible.
But that was his encounter. So basically, there we have it, what we've covered tonight. Loch Ness Monster land sightings. So we can do, if you just put the next picture up, Hemi, we can see what we've learned from tonight's episode.
What's
if we
next?
can all have a look at
Loch Ness Monster in space, like Leprechaun.
Could do. I think what we should do, and also show the people at home the various pictures all together. There we go, look, see? What does that say? There's all the pictures we've looked at tonight.
Loch Ness Monster in the Hood. We could do that next, Ian.
Yeah, we could do.
Have I missed any Hobbit?
Yeah, Abbott. Basically.
No, those are the two. Loch Ness Monster in Las Vegas. That's a good one.
Yeah. No, but look, what we can see there is there's not just one Loch Ness Monster, is there? From what we can see.
Yeah, there's the testicle one. There's the cock one as well, and the camel one.
Yeah. There's various ones there. Yeah. There's quite a few though, isn't there? So yeah.
There's one that's half Loch Ness Monster, half camel.
Yeah.
The Loch Ness Monster is the friend you meet along the way, Ian.
There's the butt plug, the camel, Jizz Monster with a sort of a foreskin, and yeah, the classic monsters as well, and also that stupid photo. But there you go. So there you go. You have there we have the Loch Ness Monster on land. Thank you, and good night.
Before's definitely a whale penis.
Oh, no, thank you.
There's definitely
one more
about that.
One more, Uncle. What's going off? All right. Okay then. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's come back on. Well, all right. One more. They want more. So we'll just do one last tale then, this one isn't on the album, but the 29th of June 1916, dog walker Dog walker on the shore of Loch Ness came across a grotesque sight of a rotting carcass of a long-necked creature. So, put the next picture up, please, Hemi, and see what was seen. There you go. So that was
why are the guts perfectly preserved while the skin and everything is
interesting. To the next picture as well, we got a different angle. We can have another look, more of a close-up of the guts. And
it's not just the odds and sods from the local butcher, is it?
Well, basically, experts pointed out that the skeleton was that of a giraffe. It seemed odd that the skin had rotted away, yet the guts were still intact.
Yeah, they would have burst, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Why has it got 3 livers?
A string of sausages. Anyway, it later came to light.
And why is the neck clearly two different spines that have just been left in the middle?
That's white pudding, and it's like they gone to the butcher. It's like, you got any ribs? I'm making a stock. Oh, and I'll have like 30 foot of white pudding, please.
Bone.
Some livers.
Anyway, but it later came to light that the creature had been mocked up for a TV program.
No.
So again, we're disappointed there. And there you go.
Science.
Those scientists in them science places, they're always so reliable.
Special effects department of that TV program ought to be fired.
Worst Doctor Who villain ever.
Well, hang on, it's not K9, is it?
So there you go. And there's our program
tonight.
Do you know
what happened to E.T.? Here he is now.
We have got time for unexplained mysteries.
Yeah, we hadn't done it in a while, have we? I think we should have
some new stuff.
Yeah, we should have some new stuff.
We have something in the chat there. Hang on. I think I'm on the wrong mouse here. Do we have... Yeah. Oh, it's dead here. Oh,
I'm just sorting this out.
About time, though, we got some advert on or something for times like this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it? An advert. Who wants to advertise? Anyone they want to advertise something?
Yeah, they still have us.
Free.
Oh, wrong one. That's
yeah.
I'll find unexplained mysteries. UNESCO.
What was the tale? What was the tale we had?
Oh, bloody UNESCO.
Yeah.
Everyone's favourite cover-uppers.
Yeah. So real
life. Flavoured butter.
That's what we do. Butters from South Park. Everyone knows it's Butters.
That's me.
Do you want to do the real life Addams Family that discuss ghosts in quirky TV interview? Let's not say we did. She follow this. This one follows on from the trailer I showed you guys earlier, Megan, where some woman buys her daughter a sex robot.
Right.
Humanoid AI robot becomes first ever to speak at the House of Lords. I bet they're still all. What the fuck is this bloke trying to shag that thing? Is he?
What was that? Is that the sex robot?
Ada. Looks a bit like Jess, but I wouldn't even rape that robot. to quote Sargon.
Named after Ada Lovelace, I reckon.
Oh god. Developed by Aidan Meller, so I think he's named it after himself. It was a specialist.
Meller the Smeller.
He was a specialist in modern and contemporary art. Ada. Oh god, it's even worse than a science project. It's an arts project. Oh my god! I don't think Ada's even into it because
I am making art.
Sporting a short black bob, a pair of dungarees, and 2 unskinned artificial arms, the eerie lifelike contraption spoke to the House of Lords Communications and Digital Committee today on the topic of whether creativity was under attack by artificial intelligence and technology. Oh yeah, they're moaning about the AI thing that can make anything that you write, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're saying that no artist will be out of a job, and it's just like, well, get good. Stop making.
They haven't got a fucking
Stop
job.
making horrible art which nobody likes, and make stuff which people do like.
Did you see what's his name? What's it? Damien Hirst was in the news. His new thing where he like burns old pictures or something. That's his new art project.
That's been done before, though, isn't it?
Well, it should have been.
Isn't the new art project where they like glue themselves sort of to priceless paintings and say this is because they're selling milk in Harrods, it's killing the planet?
Pennsylvania state officials play down Bigfoot warning signs. Spokesperson has emphasised that dozens of official-looking signs warning visitors about Bigfoot are not actually legitimate.
Oh yeah, but that's convenient, isn't it? It's just, post all these signs and say, oh, it's some prankster. It's not us that are painting them.
Yeah, Bigfoot is not real. Signs in Pennsylvania parks, trails. Oh, Bigfoot is not real. Signs. So they've been saying Bigfoot is not real.
Oh right, spoiling the fun.
Yeah, signs in Pennsylvania parks, trails asking. Signs in Pennsylvania parks, trails asking residents to report sightings weren't posted by officials. What the fucking hell?
That scans well.
Yeah, that reads really, really well. That does, doesn't it?
It's in Pennsylvania parks.
Yeah.
Bigfoot
is not real. Signs in Pennsylvania parks, trails asking residents to report sightings that weren't posted by officials. Makes no sense.
Bigfoot is not real. Bigfoot is not real. Signs in Pennsylvania parks to pick up it's on the ceiling. Yeah.
Psychologists are now closer than ever to understanding deja vu. Do they know what the French for deja vu is yet?
I do know that the what's it called? The French have no word for entrepreneur. George Bush told me that.
Yeah.
I keep getting this feeling of deja vu.
Yeah.
I kept getting this feeling of deja vu. Kept getting this feeling of deja vu.
You watch Dave?
Yeah, you got Alzheimer's, mate.
You watch Deja Vu? Remember the channel Deja Vu? Is Dave the +1 channel?
Oh yeah,
you all have Alzheimer's.
It's Dave +1, isn't it?
Yeah,
but yeah, it exists. You can watch. What's it called? Room 101, and
yeah,
like Room 101, but you've got to watch the end of that Richard Osman's House of Games, which is shit from what I can see. That program.
He's not that good on his own, is he, Richard Osman? I think he needs
that program's just shit. It's just it's just desperate to make things up, make a game up. The point where the game is so crappy, you're thinking this is shit.
Well, it's comedians do it. Not a lot of them have any have a bone of creativity in them, do they? They just do whatever everyone else says they should do.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is good, even though it's very stale now. But that's a good game show.
Oh, I haven't watched a single one with Clarkson in it. Is he good?
Me neither. You get a bit bored of it, and you think the first half of it is the easy questions. And you think this is like a waste of time.
Well, their peak was just before the cheating scandal. I still believe the cheating scandal was all fake. I think it was just done to improve the rating.
Yeah. It is. Now we can't afford. We can't afford to watch TV soon, isn't it? It's going to be too expensive.
How do you test deja vu in the psychology lab? Anyway, maybe let's do this. Have you ever had the weird feeling you've experienced the same situation before, even though that's impossible? Yeah, every time Marvel put out a new series and then call you racist for saying it was crap. Sometimes it can even seem like you're reliving something that has already happened. This phenomenon, known as deja vu, just in case you didn't know, has puzzled philosophers, neurologists and writers for a very long time. Starting in the late 1800s, many theories began to emerge regarding what might cause deja vu, which means already seen in French. People thought it may be stemmed from a mental dysfunction or perhaps some sort of brain problem. Or maybe it was a temporary hiccup in the otherwise normal operation of human memory. But the topic did not reach the realm of science until quite recently.
Glitch in the Matrix.
Yep. Moving from I think that's why they did the black cat picture at the front, wasn't it? I think they're alluding to it. Moving from the paranormal to the scientific. Early in this millennium, a scientist named Alan Brown, this is written awful, decided to conduct a review of everything researchers had written about deja vu until that point. How does he know he's reviewed everything that researchers have written?
Or some hidden tablet.
Yeah.
In a tomb.
Yeah. Much of what he could find had a paranormal flavour, something to do with the supernatural, a bit like past lives or psychic abilities, but he also found studies that surveyed regular people about their deja vu appearances. From all these papers, Brown was able to glean some basic findings on the deja vu phenomenon. For example, Brown determined that roughly 2/3 of people experience deja vu at some point in their lives. He determined the most common trigger of deja vu is a scene or place, and the next most common trigger is a conversation. He also reported on hints through about a century or so of medical literature of a possible association between deja vu and some types of seizure activity in the brain. So don't worry, people, if you've had deja vu, you're having a seizure. Perfectly normal.
You are actually psychic.
Yeah. Brown's review brought the topic of deja vu into the realm of more mainstream science because it appeared in both a scientific journal that scientists who study cognition tend to read. Well, that's a glowing indictment. They tend to read it. And also in a book aimed at scientists. What the fuck is this? His work served as a catalyst for scientists to design experiments to investigate deja vu. Prompted by Brown's work, my own research team began conducting experiments aimed at testing hypotheses about possible mechanisms of deja vu. We investigated a near century-old hypothesis that suggested deja vu can happen when there's a spatial resemblance between a current scene and an unrecalled scene in your memory. Psychologists called this the Gestalt for familiarity hypothesis. So, literally, you should have a deja vu every time you go downstairs in the morning, then, is what they're saying, aren't they?
It's a load of bollocks. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, this is sharks dreaming all over again, isn't it? For example, imagine you're passing a nursing station into a hospital unit on your way to visit a sick friend. Although you've never been to this hospital before, you are struck with the feeling that you have. The underlying cause for the experience of deja vu could be the layout of the scene, including the placement of the furniture and the particular objects within the space have the same layout as a different scene that you did experience in the past. This is bollocks. Like you literally, you'd be getting deja vu all over your own house if this was correct. Fucking knobheads, aren't they? Well, I'm not reading any more of this. This sounds like fucking bullshit to me. How about you?
No, I'm done with it.
Basically, a brain fart.
Basically,
That deja vu, I had to take 5, so I missed the last bit. Where was it? Deja vu.
You missed fuck all.
Yeah, you missed
Literally.
you missed scientists doing science in.
Fuck scientists.
Yeah. Did intelligent aliens visit and guide the ancient Mesopotamians?
Oh, do you want some man-made horrors beyond my comprehension? Scientists have spliced human brain tissue into the brains of rats.
Nice, beautiful. Because that worked out well in what's it called? What's the fucking hell? Deep Blue Sea. That worked out well in that messing around with shit. Well,
it might sound like an
or something.
It might sound like an experiment worthy of Dr. Frankenstein, but we don't have to worry about rat men anytime soon. It's easy to become concerned when you hear about human brain tissue being spliced into the brains of another animal. I wonder why it's easy to get concerned about such things. But in this particular case, there's nothing to worry about because we say so. Experiments are actually part of a recent effort to find new types of treatment for neuropsychiatric disorders. What, like the neuropsychiatric disorder of I'm half man, half rat? What's it? This is like, oh, I know. I'll stick a beagle's head into this tent with sand fleas till it gets tortured to death for research purposes. I'm Anthony Fauci. Sam, you're Anthony Fauci. You've got to torture these beagles for science, Sam. Otherwise, you won't kind of leap out of here. The research which was...
I identify as a were-rat, and I find your comments distressing.
Research which was headed up by, well, they're calling it neuroscientists, by fucking sadistic cunt Sergio Pasca, so some subhuman filth of Stanford University, took lumps of self-organising human brain tissue, which he's probably got from aborted baby fetuses. It doesn't say where he got it from, but we know that that means from abortions. Grown in a lab, and then grown in a lab, yeah, okay. And then transplanted them into the nervous system of baby rats, so they became a functioning part of the animal's brains. The technique makes for an effective way to overcome the limitations of growing samples in dishes. No. Oh, it's so sanitised, this fucking article. Most of the work that my lab has been doing has been motivated by my sick fantasies. By the mission of trying to understand psychiatric disorders at the biological level, so we can actually find effective therapeutics. Pascal explained whilst masturbating at a podium.
Many of these psychiatric conditions, such as autism and schizophrenia, are likely uniquely human, or at least they are anchored in unique features of the human brain. And the human brain has certainly not been very accessible. They won't let me put my...
I'm not going to carry on, sorry.
Which has precluded the progress we've been making in understanding the biology of these conditions.
In other words, this is a fucking sicko who likes to stick his penis into bits of gore and he's trying to justify it. Fuck's sake. Fuck you, Sergio Pasca. What sort of name is Sergio Pasca anyway? That sounds Hungarian.
Were able to attach an ear to a mouse as well, weren't they?
Yeah, they do all sorts of weird things. That's a human chimera where... You see, it's illegal to do human cloning, and it still is. I don't know why. The sort of ethics concerned, and I'm surprised they haven't just...
I should imagine if you go to the right country, you can do it anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is, there are no legal protections against chimeras. So if you were to make a clone and introduce, say, 1% bovine DNA into it, well, it's not legally human, so you can do whatever you like to it, including like vivisecting it whilst it's alive and sticking bits of its brain into a mouse's nervous system. Fucking hell.
Have you seen Boston Dynamics have said, we're not going to make any weaponized robots. So when you're being eaten by a Chinese robot that runs on biofuel, just at least Boston Dynamics agreed not to make any weaponized robots.
Can I just say for that was developed by the Ministry of Defence, and that robot is called Tyrannus.
Yeah.
Because why
they
not?
said it's unlikely there will be a considerable increase in efforts by international bodies such as the United Nations to make it illegal to build or use weaponized robots.
Briefly, why is it they always do this stuff when they do all these placated things? Like, you shouldn't be worried about like this Jeffrey Dahmer sticking bits of human babies into rats. You shouldn't be worried about robots that will harvest your biomass to use as fuel to murder more people. Why do they all start these articles with, you shouldn't be worried about this tyrannical, evil thing that we're doing?
Just get on with your mundane lives. Don't worry about it.
Just keep on paying your taxes.
Just watch the...
Just keep on going to work.
Fucking hell, have you seen that mountain goat? Cyclist encounters the Arnold Schwarzenegger of mountain goats. Fuck me, look at that thing. It's a fucking monster. Bastard.
Now that might be interesting.
It's for your size.
Yeah, do you remember Jack Osborne?
Yeah.
A gun in his mouth.
No, it's the bike's handlebars. Hobbit.
Is that a gun in his house mouth, or is he just pleased to see me?
Just pleased.
Jack Osborne He's discusses paranormal encounters at his childhood home.
And he does a Bigfoot
he
program.
does a lot of ghost programs on Discovery Plus.
You should get him on the show.
Hey, Hobbit. Never mind the vax, Hobbit. You're never going to need to refuse it anyway, because scientists are going to use mosquitoes to deliver experimental malaria vaccine.
Bill Gates has been wanking over that for decades now.
Are they still not? Well, it says they've used it, Hobbit.
Yeah, and they're also saying that they're going to just put mRNA serums in water and food as well.
Yeah.
So we can't call these things vaccines. It's mRNA germline therapy. It's not a vaccination. A vaccination is something else. Except the definition of vaccine changed 2 years ago. We are neither condoning nor condemning any edits to
this one then, Hobbit.
words.
During the trial, several volunteers visited the lab to be vaccinated by placing their exposed arm inside a tank filled with mosquitoes that were carrying
experimented on.
Some ended up badly bitten. The unusual method of delivery did prove effective. For fuck's sake.
I hate this. I find this deeply disturbing and I hate it.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another one.
Video shows shark in residential backyard during Hurricane Ian. No, you've got a look now, mate.
Did you know you call shark attacks?
Yeah.
You say you're a hurricane now?
Yeah.
Sharknado.
Yeah.
Should be your nickname, Sharknado.
Yeah. Bizarre moaning sounds seem to be plaguing American Airlines flights.
It's 100-mile, what's it, club, whatever.
It's described as being halfway between an orgasm and vomiting. The sounds were like a peculiar moaning or groaning, as though someone was struggling with constipation while under the influence. What a weird fucking sound.
Oh dear, oh dear.
What? It was, the sound was, coming, was it from the toilets?
It's the only place you can go.
These are the noises.
I suppose you could have a hand job into your tray.
Yeah. Something's going on there anyway, definitely. What else we got here? UFO appears in official logo of US Aviation Intelligence Office. There you go.
Let's have a look then.
What do you think to that? Office of the Director of National Intelligence, NIM Aviation.
It's too small to see. Here we go. Oh, yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, but what's the organisation? Is it called again? Some intelligence.
It says NIM Aviation. The Director of National Intelligence. The Office of Director of National Intelligence. I can't work out what it doesn't. Obviously, you wouldn't want to know what NIM stands for. Oh, the unexpected extra turned up in the official seal for the National Intelligence Manager Aviation, NIM-A. So it's National Intelligence Manager Aviation.
And the logo itself looks like the plane going into the Twin Towers as well. There's three towers.
I don't know what that other thing is either. So it
looks like a flying saucer.
No, not the flying saucer. The one above it, on the one with the black at the end of the black arrow. Oh, is that supposed to be a helicopter? I think it's supposed to be a helicopter, isn't it?
It's the second plane, isn't it?
The second plane.
Then in the middle, there's a flame. Look, there's a flame.
Yeah.
Red flame.
Anyway, there's that one. Woman heard fairy laughter while lost in the woods of Ireland. It was probably. It was probably. What's
pissed on Guinness.
What's his name that does the chapter?
Hogan.
I can't remember his fucking name. I don't know. The other one, the comedian. I don't know.
Graham Norton.
That's the one. It was probably that fairy that was laughing in the woods.
Frank Carlson.
Frank, it's a cracker. That'd be alright if you was in the woods
dead.
and you heard someone go, it's a cracker.
The ghost of Frank Carlson, because he's dead.
What started out as a relaxing woodland stroll soon turned into a terrifying ordeal for one woman from Meath in Ireland. In legends and folklore, fairies tend to be depicted as mischievous but benign beings. Yet there are also stories of encounters with these creatures that would seem to call this idea into serious doubt. Listen to our fairy episode, which was quite good and spooky. In this particular case, the woman whose name was
Did we do one?
Yeah, we did one ages ago. Me and Ian. Me and Zero.
Oh, right.
That's
you do the Cotilly Fairies.
No, we could do one on that one if you want to do that one.
Yeah, that would be a good one. I don't know how much mileage there is on it though.
Because didn't she now say they're all not fake except for the last one was fake?
Oh, she's dead. They're both dead now. But they did a program. I think they were on one of the. They were on Arthur C. Clarke actually. They
did a film about it, didn't they, in the early 2000s?
Yeah. One of the McGanns, wasn't it? When the McGann brothers were everywhere. But
Madeline McGann.
Yeah. I know McGann. Yeah.
It's just a mystery. Nobody knows what happened to Madeline McGann. It's just a massive mystery that no one can solve.
Yeah. Could have a look. I thought that we didn't do it, did we? The Cotilly Fairies. If we haven't, we can have a look and see how much mileage there is, because there's not really much. There's not really.
We did a lot
much
of
to go
fairy folklore and stuff like that about changelings and when they turn your cow into tofu and stuff like that.
Yeah. Some girls took some fake fairy photos. Conan Doyle thought it was real because he had some tragedies in his life and had a bit of a mental breakdown. And then they admitted years later that the fairy were fakes and show you how you did it. So there you go.
I thought they changed their mind again and said it was all real. Except for
I think in the end they pretty much said, no, they're all fakes. I think they probably said, no, they were fairies just for a laugh. Yeah. He faked the photos, but no, they were real fairies.
I thought they did it.
Wasn't it deathbed confession?
What?
Yeah, so on their deathbed, where they're saying, actually, no, they were real, but we just
with in the 1920s with like fashionable.
She just went
fashion.
Just went. No, it's not faked. No backsies. And died.
Because they had like the fairies had fashionable haircuts and clothes from the 1920s. Yeah.
What, you're saying the little people don't follow human fashions? What are you, some sort of bigot?
Yeah.
If they're following our fashions, that's cultural appropriation.
But ones that appear in magazines of the age are going to wear clothes of the age. So when you cut them out and take pictures of them, then they're going to look.
Well, they are figments.
But anyway, that's a possibility.
Oh, here you go. It says more fairies. Traditional fairies kidnap children and drank human blood. There you go.
Mm.
Cotilly Fairies picture goes on display. So there you go. The oldest known surviving contact print of one of the original Cotilly Fairies photos is now on display. The story of the Cotilly Fairies came from the unlikeliest of sources. Two young cousins, Elsie Wright and Francie Griffith from Cottingley, England. So they played at the stream at the bottom. I don't want to say too much if we're going to do an episode of it.
They're playing musical instruments as well.
Yeah.
Who made the little trumpets?
Who made their little trumpets? Where's it? Oh, it's in Texas. It's gone to Texas anyway. Now the very first image developed in 1917 from the original Francis and the Fairy Ring negative has gone up on display at the Museum of the Weird in Austin, Texas. So the Yanks own it now. Well done.
Like, look at that picture though. It's like if I get loads of little Warhammer miniatures in front of me, it's like, look, I've found some fairies in power armor.
You could be the new Cottingley Fairy, Dom.
That'll be Steve Felton, wouldn't it? He's a fairy. It's the new Cotilly Fairy.
Messaging fairy.
Yeah. Sensitive fairy.
Renewed calls for Prince Philip's Royal X-Files to be released.
He believed in UFOs, apparently.
Yeah, apparently he was investigating. They want it released.
Yeah.
Oh, so the Duke allegedly became first interested in UFO. You don't have to say allegedly if he's dead, do you? First become interested in UFOs after his uncle, Lord Mountbatten, wrote an official report about a strange object that landed in his estate in Romsey, Hampshire, back in 1955. Well, it wasn't a small boy, was it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was no good, was he?
He was a bit of a robber, wasn't
he? Yeah. Bit of the Edward Heaths about him.
Yeah, a bit of the Edward Heaths.
I don't know if he killed a boy, but he did have a...
Oh, he was also thought to have owned a copy of Haunted Skies, the Encyclopedia of British UFOs.
Well, he was good friends with Jimmy Savile.
Yeah. Well, Mountbatten
allegedly
he was dead, wasn't he?
No, but King Charles.
He was.
Oh no! Scientists have been stumped, lads. Mysterious blobs of blue goo on ocean floor stump scientists. Well, it's obviously some sort of fucking sea cucumber or something, isn't it?
Little jizz.
Yeah, why don't you just get it up and chop it in half? Why don't you just get it up and give it to Fauci? He'll find out how it ticks, won't he? Oh, God. Well, some of the scientists suggested they might be some sort of soft coral or sponge. The team was ultimately unable to agree on an explanation. Like, they know... It's not that they don't know what it is. It's like they're too lazy to fucking get it and cut it in half, are they? Does anybody know the punchline to this one? Doctors treat woman who swallowed 55 AA and AAA batteries. There's got to be a punchline to that one, isn't there?
She was charged with, I don't know.
Yeah.
You tell me.
She was charged with battery.
I know. Yeah. Jeff said about his mate Denzel's place got burgled, didn't it? They attacked him and shoved the vacuum cleaner up his ass. He said Jethro said he's picking up proper now. Constipated scorpions among subjects of this year's IG Nobel Prize winners. You know what happens with constipated accountants, don't you? They work it out with a pencil.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Ig Nobel Prize. It's the knockoff one. So it's recognition to those who have contributed to the world of science in more unusual ways. That's why. Biology prize this year went to a team from the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil who investigated whether constipation had any effect on the mating habits of scorpions. The engineering prize, meanwhile, went to a team of researchers who decided to determine the most efficient way for someone to use their fingers when turning a doorknob.
Yep, that sounds like a good time.
Yeah. The art history prize went to a project entitled "A Multidisciplinary Approach to Ritual Enema Scenes on an Ancient Maya Pottery." While the physics prize went to a project focused on determining how ducklings managed to swim in a straight line behind their mother.
They're shitting me.
The bizarreness was rounded up with the safety engineering prize, which went to a team who developed a life-size moose crash test dummy made out of rubber. I fucking love science, don't you, Hobbit?
It's brilliant. We need more research into do sharks sleep?
Oh, do you know it was the Mothman Festival, Ian?
I know they have one. I didn't know it was on now, but yeah, they do have
September,
one.
I think it was. Crowds of revelers are expected to descend on West Virginia this weekend to celebrate all things Mothman.
Yep.
So there you go. The Mothman Festival. Oh, I think you talked about the Mothman Festival, didn't you, in the Mothman episode?
We did see some pictures, didn't we?
Yeah.
the science fiction people were there as well.
Should we end with a spooky one? Have you seen this creepy AI-generated woman, Loab, is social media's latest urban legend? An eerie face envisaged within the mind of artificial intelligence seems to be the internet's latest answer to Slender Man. Earlier this year, we covered the story of the remarkable and disturbing capabilities of OpenAI's is it DALL-E or DALL-E? I don't know, whatever it is. Artificial intelligence, which can generate images of absolutely anything at all simply by typing in a description of it in natural language and letting it interpret the rest as the request as it sees fit. The result.
Someone in the chat, tell me what the open source equivalent of DALL-E is, because they now make it. They censor things if you're trying to make like something political or funny.
Oh, okay. You're not allowed to be funny now.
Yeah, you're not allowed to put like Hillary Clinton seen at a car crash or something like that.
Hillary Clinton servicing Cessna.
Hillary Clinton shredding emails.
The results can be unnerving to say the least, leading to a whole new category of image, usually a frighteningly distorted and creepy of mundane things. As imagine, that's how it's written. Yeah, the results can be unnerving to say the least, leading to a whole new category of image, usually frighteningly distorted and creepy of mundane things as imagined. Why did they put that bit in the middle? As imagined by an AI computer algorithm, and why didn't they put it in brackets? Why did they put hyphens in there? God, these people. The latest product of this trend, which has been something of an urban legend on social media, is the face of a woman called Loab, so that's Loab, which was created by Twitter musician Super Composite using a custom AI text-to-image model, similar to but not the same as old DALL-E, or whatever the fuck it's called. So there is another one. There's an AI text-to-image model that's similar but not the same as DALL-E Hobbit.
Yeah.
Salvador Dali.
Yeah. Ah, right.
That's what they're basing on.
DALL-E, yes, I get it now.
It's all floppy clocks.
By messing around with what are known as negative prompts, she was able to get the AI to repeatedly produce variations of an image of a woman with distorted features and red cheeks. What's weird is because the way the system generates these images, this woman's face seems to somehow exist within the latent space of the AI's memory, and in fact represents the negative of a request to produce an image of something else, an opposite of all sorts. Exactly why the AI repeatedly produces a version of this particular face remains unclear, which makes the resulting images all the creepier, especially given some of them are quite disturbing. Ultimately, the phenomenon is likely to be a quirk in the software, but it's a strange one nonetheless.
So she's a ghost in the machine.
Yeah. Some social media users have come to regard Loab as a Slender Man type figure, a boogeyman or boogie woman of the internet age. The stuff that creepypasta nightmares are made of. Her discoverer has since come to regard her as the first cryptid of latent space. A fitting title, to be sure. There you go. Does look a bit weird, doesn't she?
Looks like there's just her cheek muscles showing through.
Yeah, looks very weird. Right, that's me done. How about you, lads? Any more for any more?
I'm willing to
Burn out.
call it a night.
Yeah, okay. Right, good night all. Stay spooky. Say good night, Hobbit.
Well,